I've helped hundreds of people burn fat and build muscle whether they love or hate the gym. And if you just maximize a couple of the systems in your body, the independent fat burning and muscle building processes, then you too can burn fat and build muscle faster than ever before. And I want to start today's episode with a very special process of fat burning in your body known as NEAT, or non-exercise active thermogenesis. Again, that's non-exercise, not exercise active thermogenesis, NEAT. So what is NEAT? Well, NEAT is all the different things that you do that create thermogenesis, that create heat in your body, that actually burns fat. When I was a kid, I would stand in the hot shower and visualize the heat literally melting my fat. And there's some truth to that, where burning fat is the heating of fat tissue and the melting of it from your body, right? Your body is burning fat and using the vitamins and the minerals in that stored fat for energy and for other processes. So NEAT, non-exercise active thermogenesis, is an active process that does not involve exercise, where your body does create thermogenesis, the burning of fat. How does it happen? Well, it's everything that you do that is not exercise. Now, stay with me for a second. As I kind of fidget, right, as I tap my fingers, as I move my head back and forth, this is all non-exercise active thermogenesis. When you type on a computer, when you squeeze a stress ball, when you fidget, when you move, when you do anything that is movement, right? Active movement, but not exercise, your body is directly burning fat. Now, why does this happen? Well, there's aerobic and anaerobic exercise, right? Aerobic is with oxygen, anaerobic is without oxygen. And NEAT falls in this upper category of aerobic respiration, where you're breathing, right? You're using oxygen and you're burning fat without exercise. Now, of course, we're going to talk about what is aerobic exercise and how that's going to burn fat. We'll talk about anaerobic exercise and how that's going to burn fat. And we'll talk about my favorite exercise in the world, and it's not what you think, in a minute. So first of all, let's get into the overall big picture, how fat burn works. Well, fat is your body's favorite energy source. Carbohydrates are simple, easy energy, but your body loves using fat for energy because it's so calorie dense, right? You get 7 calories of energy per gram of fat compared to 4 calories of energy per gram of carbohydrates. So you really get more energy from fat, almost double than carbs. And your body knows this. Your body already knows and loves fat. So when you do things that don't require carbohydrate energy, don't require ATP storages, which is your body's free energy, right? The immediate replenishable carbohydrate-backed energy. When you're just doing things like fidgeting, moving, walking, right? Anything that is not exercise, and I do definitely put walking in kind of the middle of the Venn diagram between aerobic exercise and NEAT, right? Because your walking is really not exercise, right? It's just a great aerobic process that we can do to burn fat. But working out, anaerobic exercise, it uses those ATP storages and it uses the free energy in your body. So what does that mean? Well, when you are working out, when you do an intense bodybuilding exercise or a sprint or anything that's explosive, right? Think of a HIIT workout, high intensity interval training, anything explosive. Your body cannot use fat and oxygen. It has to use that free energy, that free ATP. And then it uses carbohydrates, if it can, to replenish those ATP storages. But What's important is typically in explosive workout, you are tearing your muscle fibers, right? The muscle tissue gets torn, right? You are tearing your muscle, and then your body rebuilds that muscle with amino acids. Well, that process of rebuilding muscles is very energy intensive. Anybody that works out knows that the night after a workout, they typically sleep better and more sound and longer than if they don't work out, because energy expenditure in the form of an exercise that tears your muscles requires an equal amount of energy rebuilding, right? That night of sleep requires you to rebuild the lost energy. So how does your body expend energy while you sleep? Well, it uses fat, right? It's not going to use the ATP storages. Those are there for explosive energy. But when you're sleeping and rebuilding muscle, your body needs energy. So where does it pull it from? Your fat tissue. So anaerobic exercise, like a HIIT workout, like bodybuilding, it's not going to use fat for energy in the moment, but it will use fat for energy for hours and hours and hours afterwards. So honestly, bodybuilding, exercise, weightlifting with your muscles is one of the best long-term strategies for building muscle and losing fat at the same time, because anaerobic exercise, walking, yoga, in a lot of different, gentle yoga, NEAT. This is all going to use oxygen and fat while it's happening, but it's not going to do anything afterwards, right? Whereas, especially like running, I think running is a great example where running, for the most part, it does use some of the ATP storages and there is some muscle tearing happening. But people who are distance runners, at a certain point, there's not much muscle tissue breakdown in the actual process of running. It becomes far more reliant on your fat and sustaining your energy through fat burn. That's why runners typically have very, dense, muscular, dense tissue on their legs, on their calves, but they're not big, right? They don't have a lot of extra fat nor a lot of extra muscle because their body is using it for the run, versus a bodybuilder who might be huge, right? Massive, right? But a lot of that is going to be stored water weight and stored energy to have availability for when they have explosive energy. It's the full spectrum of somebody who is using a ton of energy over a long period of time. They're going to be very muscularly dense and low on fat because their body uses it, versus someone who's very explosive with their energy. They're going to be very muscularly liquid, right? Their muscles are going to have a lot of liquid in them, a lot of extra calories and a lot of extra density to them. And they're going to have a lot more free energy, free ATP, and availability in fat and from carbohydrates. So does that kind of make sense? I know I'm in the weeds here right now, but the point is, the spectrum of bodybuilder to runner, both of them have very little fat, right? It's just, if you want to build muscle, you focus on the anaerobic exercise. If you just want to be lean, you focus on the aerobic exercise. But back to NEAT for a second, because NEAT can account for between 15 and 50% of your daily caloric burn. That means if you're someone who fidgets a lot, that's actually kind of great, right? And the more you can just move and keep your body in motion while you're doing your day, while you're doing your tasks, that's going to keep your body burning fat all day long, versus someone who's completely stationary, very namaste, very zen. There's not going to be any fat burn taking place. So it's really okay to fidget more, to do more with your body. And the way to maximize your NEAT is just to stand more, right? We all sit so much. So just taking a second to actually stand up, and I can't do it or I'll leave my frame here, but yeah, just taking a second to stand up and work standing up and move around while standing. I take all of my calls on walks. If I'm ever on a call with you, I'm walking, because for me, the actual act of walking helps the blood flow and gets my brain moving and helps me think through the problems that you're facing and help offer advice on those coaching calls. But more than that, it's just this act of being in motion that really helps me think and helps keep me clear. I cannot take a call sitting down. If I do, I'm fidgeting like crazy, which is my body crying out for movement. So stand more, walk more, and fidget more. That's how you maximize NEAT. Next, I want to talk about my favorite exercise by far. And I've never talked about this before, so this is a USA Medical exclusive. My favorite exercise by far is swimming, because swimming maximizes both aerobic and anaerobic workouts at the exact same time. You are using your fat and oxygen for energy because it's an aerobic. You're breathing like crazy, right? If you're doing freestyle, it's every 3 strokes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you're exhaling. If you're a good freestyle swimmer, like I was, you're exhaling hard. You're using your diaphragm to while you're doing those 2. So by the 3rd, you can get a big breath and right? It's this insane diaphragmatic breathing exercise, keeping the oxygen in your body and burning fat while you are ripping through your muscle tissue, right? Because you're grabbing and you're pulling the water. There's maximum resistance, especially if you're good, right? And you hold your hands really tight and just gently cupped, right? You get the most water resistance. Your legs are kicking, so you're activating your leg muscles. Your core is active with that diaphragmatic breathing. Your back is active, actually doing the stroke, right? And your chest is active, holding your weight up and coming up for breath. So swimming is this absolutely incredible full body exercise that again maximizes aerobic and anaerobic workouts at the same time, lending to more fat burn while it's happening and more fat burn when you're done while you sleep and recover. So if you want to lose weight and burn fat faster than anybody else, become a swimmer. There's a reason the swimmer's body is always talked about as like the ideal body. It's because it's the best combination of the insane aerobic workouts like runners do, who tend to be a little bit skinnier, a little bit less muscularly built, and then bodybuilders who are just big meat cakes of muscle, right? And really don't have a nice leanness. They typically have a very nice physique, but not a great leanness, where swimming is right in the middle. It's a really nice, lean, muscular build. And I was a swimmer for a long time. I was a state lifeguard. It was the best shape of my life when I was doing the state lifeguard. Both training was insanely rigorous, and then upkeep. We had to swim miles every week, and run and work out and do things on top of that. So genuinely, swimming is the best workout by far. If you have the ability to join a gym that has a pool, like a YMCA, it's going to be the best thing you can do for your health, because again, there's no exercise like it. So love swimming. Next, I want to talk about burning fat without exercise. So if you desperately hate exercise and you're like, Jake, I am not going to exercise. Well, there is a way to burn fat without exercise, and it's called ketosis. So the keto diet is the focus on using fat for energy. But all of us can be in ketosis in a very easy way without following the diet, right? If you just do intermittent fasting at about hour 12 to 16, your body is entering into ketogenesis. So doing that 16-hour fast, you're getting between 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 hours of ketosis every day, depending on how big your last meal was and how much activity you've performed during that process. If you eat like a light, protein and fat heavy meal, like you have a steak and you have, eggs and you maybe have a potato, so some carbs in there, and then you go on, a hike or you work out, right? Maybe by hour 8, 9, 10, your body's actually entering ketosis because there wasn't many grams of carbs in that one potato, and you worked out, so you did use free energy in your body. So again, this is a big spectrum of exercise and your body's mechanics. But the point is, if you do an intermittent fast every day, you are either entering into ketosis or fully in ketosis every single day for at least a couple hours, which is a great way to burn fat. If you want to go further, a study shows that a ketogenic diet, right, just eating fat and protein for 12 weeks will reduce body fat by 3%. Okay, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. If you have, let's say, 19% body fat, I think that's probably a pretty middle of the road, someone who feels just a little bit overweight, looks a little bit overweight. 19% body fat, 20%, we'll go to 20% body fat. That's like, you're definitely overweight, you're definitely a little bit on the fatty side, but you're not like egregiously overweight. 3% is a big difference. Going from 20 down to 17 or 19 down to 16. 16 is getting close to like someone who looks lean, someone who looks good. I'm not going to say like you look like a shredded animal, right? I typically sit in the 8 to 12% range. I'm probably closer to 12% right now. Maybe 10, 11, 12 right now. But if I really shred down, my best body fat percentage without like starving myself or doing something crazy is like 7, 8%. That's my best. And I look lean at 7, 8%, right? You really can't expect to get much lower than that unless you are just an animal in the gym and with your diet. So again, normal person, anywhere between 10 to 15% body fat, you're going to look and feel awesome. So if you are 19, 20%, lowering by 3% body fat is a huge feat, and you will definitely see it and you will definitely feel it. So this study basically proves that if you don't exercise at all, but spend just 12 weeks, 3 months doing the keto diet, you will lose 3% body fat, which is pretty impressive. It's a very simple way to lose fat, especially if you combine it with any exercise. But this fifth and last thing I want to talk about today is visualization and muscle flexing, because this is a really interesting topic about how to burn fat and build muscle without the gym whatsoever. So visualization activates neural pathways and muscle fibers without even using weights. And there's a great study that shows people who visualize themselves building muscle actually improve. They actually grew their muscles 13.5% more over 12 weeks than those who didn't. So what am I talking about here? Well, I'm talking about literally right now with no weights in your hand. Imagine your arms are down, right, down by your side. You don't have to imagine that. You can do that. And then imagine you're holding heavy dumbbells, like 30, 40, 50-pound dumbbells, whatever sounds really heavy to you, right? So for me, like my max curl right now is like 50 pounds. I can maybe do 1 or 2 curls, right? So 50-pound dumbbells in my hands. And I know how hard this is going to be to curl, right? Visualize yourself and activate the muscles as if you're curling 50 pounds. So it's not like this. You don't do this, right? No, with 50 pounds, there's a lot of strain. I'm firing every single muscle. My whole arm is shaking. My entire shoulder is shaking. And I'm desperately trying to get that 50 all the way up. And then I got it. And then slow back down. And what you just did is with no weight in your hands, you activated all of the same muscle fibers that you would have curling a 50-pound dumbbell. And I know this sounds wonky and wacky, but this study proves that people who just did that can build more muscle than people who don't. So that means right now, if you just imagine yourself bench pressing the heaviest weight you possibly can for 3 reps in a row, you're going to feel your body actually tore muscle. Your body actually fired the neurons that fired the muscle fibers that would have been fired to lift that weight. Visualization plus actual muscle flexing is a weird hack that actually helps you burn fat and build muscle, like for real. So today, I want to give you some quick tips to get started, like quick wins, I'm calling it. This is a new segment called Quick Wins to Start Today. And I want to do this segment every time because we need quick wins. We need to feel like things are happening fast for us to be excited about it. At least I do. So 1, increase your NEAT, right? Start pacing more. Do something that causes you to pace or move more. Whenever you have a call, if you can get a headset, I wear my Apple AirPods, just put on the AirPods, put on a headset, and just pace around your room, right? Even if you can't leave the office or leave the cubicle or leave whatever, just pace around. That's going to increase your NEAT so much just by pacing on calls. Number 2, if you have the option, go for a swim. Right? If you can join a gym with a pool, go for a swim. I promise, even if you're not good at it, if you don't know the techniques, do a few laps and you'll be exhausted and you'll feel it and you'll genuinely look better the next day. Like I think, we see results faster than anybody else does. Right? So use that to your advantage, right? If you go for a swim, look at yourself the next day and go, wow, I look leaner, because you probably do. Next, try ketosis. Try it out. Not the keto diet, but ketosis. Try getting into ketosis, right? Do an intermittent fast. 16 hours, right? Just fast for 16 hours. If you can go 16 hours with no food, you're in ketosis, you're burning fat for energy, you did it, good job. And you'll feel clear, you'll feel good. I promise, the more you do intermittent fasting, the more your body loves it. Just loves it. And finally, visualize strength. This is the easiest one. Literally sit here right now and visualize yourself curling heavy dumbbells. And don't just see it, but do it. Do it for real. Think about how hard it is to curl a heavy dumbbell. Fire all of those muscles and let your body actually tear, actually destroy the muscle fibers so that tonight when you sleep, your body can rebuild, use fat for energy, and actually burn fat and build muscle without you ever having gone to the gym. So if you don't need you don't need fancy equipment and special gyms and special training to do this. Like I said, you can close your eyes and visualize yourself tearing muscle fibers and building your muscle right now, which directly burns fat. And if you want to burn more fat, focus on NEAT, right? Stand up, pace around, fidget more, tap more, do things that gets your body moving that doesn't involve exercise to just burn more fat. And if you really want to take your health to the next level, text me at 323-352-9131. Let's get on a free coaching call. We'll talk about how you're doing, the strategies you're working on, and see if I can offer some real, genuine help to get you closer to your goals than ever before. My name is Jake. Thanks so much for watching. This is the USA Medical Podcast.